Welcome to the Everyday Board Game Podcast with Daniel.
And Daniel.
And good morning, Daniel. It is a Wednesday. It is our weekly discussion topic, which will be slightly different this week.
Yeah, because mistakes were made, weren't they?
Yes, they were. So, normally we poll our viewers as far as our discussion topic, which this one this week is which games have the best overall table presence. Which I think would be a fantastic topic for our viewers to discuss. But you and I both forgot. We normally post it a couple days in advance.
We had family things to do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So it's just one of the things that escaped our mind. I had some stuff to do with my wife or for my wife, and you had family errands you had to do.
Yep, exactly. So by the time I got home, completely spaced it. I think I remember at some point yesterday while I was at work, very, very briefly thinking, "Oh, I should post that," and then it gone.
Well, it didn't help matters too that both your kids start school this week. So
yes, yeah. So it was a very, very big thing. So we will discuss the discussion topic later.
Yeah.
And for some reason, my Mac. Sorry. What? Why was I don't even use McAfee? Why does it jump up? Why?
I'm not editing that out.
Huh?
I'm not editing.
I know.
That out.
That's fine. You can see me fight with the smart scan. I'll show you the smart scan. Anyway, yeah. So we have some pretty good discussion points for this topic. And the thing is, I'm okay with this not going to the viewers because I know a lot of the ones that are immediately going to hit the list
are probably on our list.
They're either probably on our list or they're just like the huge, massive, grandiose Kickstarters that $1.5 million minis, you know. No, and that's fine. I had some caveats for myself, which I'll explain when we get there. But you and I, as well as a couple of our friends, played a massive amount of games this last weekend. 15 games in total.
Yeah. 16 games overall, because we did play one twice.
Oh, I thought it was 15 and 14 overall.
Is it? Let me see.
I might have been wrong. Or 15 overall. I believe it was 15 overall. 14 of them we played.
So it is 14 overall, and one of them played twice. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, we played one of the 14 games twice. That's because of how quick it is. And so we figured that we would go through the list of what we played, because most of them are new. 9 of them I counted I had never played before.
I'm trying to see here. The only ones I played, 1, 2, 3. 3 games I've played before. The rest I have not.
So you have 14 game review, or 11 games that you have never played before. So I'm curious to see what your impressions are of these. So do you want to just jump right into it?
Sure. So the first game we played, because we were just trying to let everybody settle in. We're trying to figure out when our other friend was actually going to show up.
Yeah.
And so the first one we were like, okay, let's play a simple card game, and that's Fantasy Realms.
Yeah.
And I have to say that was actually quite fun. Probably one of the more fun games that we played that day. Not that we played any bad ones, really.
No.
It's just the one that really set the bar and got us going. It was really enjoyable. It was really quick. I did enjoy it. I would give that one a thumbs up.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantasy Realms I was thoroughly impressed with. And because we played another game later on in the evening that was similar to it. We'll talk about that in a minute. Different theme totally, but like a similar idea, right? And Fantasy Realms was just, there was something very elegant about it. It all seemed to work together, and it wasn't like really obvious. It's like, oh, collect a set of red cards, collect a set of blue cards. No, like every card is drastically different than the others. Yeah.
And then it works so differently. Like, so I ended up winning because of a card that allowed me to get 100 points if I had this card, and at least one of these cards.
Right.
And so I was like, well, I have that, and I have that. But then that went down. I'm like, I'm going to take this book back that I put down because now that I have this in my hand, this wins the game for me.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was thoroughly impressed with it. I want to go buy a copy. This is definitely a thumbs up for me.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Yeah, this is something that would have, because it's a nice little filler game that doesn't take too much time and plays really well. This is something that I need to get into my little card collection.
Cool. All right. Let's move on to the next one. That was a co-op game that I had played with my son just once before I showed you all, and that's Liberation of Rightburg. Brand new, based on Legends of Andor. It's a card-based system where you are actually flipping down, or playing cards from your hand technically, but we played them where you flipped them. And you
Yeah.
follow one of the three actions that are on there. Very simple. You're either moving around, attacking dudes, and just trying to complete objectives that you have to clear out to find out what the objective is.
Yeah,
What?
and you got to get 4 of them. I think that's the normal mode,
Yep.
or is that the easy mode?
So the way you determine difficulty is which cards you add into the deck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you
So
still have
yeah,
to do four.
we had to get 4 of those check marks to win the game.
Yep.
And yeah, no, this was a phenomenal game. Again, another good game. We had a good time. I really enjoyed it. I that's another thumbs up for me. This is something that I would be willing to play again.
Yeah. I think at the end of this we'll have to rank the games. See what.
Yeah.
Like just so that way we have more of a perspective. But yeah, because I think we're gonna have a lot of thumbs up. We had a fantastic game night. Liberation of Rightburg. I knew you guys were giving me guff for it because I was like, no, guys, seriously, like I really enjoyed this. Like you're gonna be really surprised by it. That's staying in my collection for a while.
Here's the thing. We give you guff about everything. It's like,
Correct.
what don't we give you guff about is what you should be saying.
But normally when I say like, hey, you really got to try this game, you guys are pretty open minded to hearing about it. I don't abuse that source.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I know what games you don't like. So if I see like a social deduction game that I really like, it's like Daniel, hold on. I really enjoy this. Like I'm gonna know to think before I tell you. So most of the games that I've done here, I haven't been like, oh my god, you need to try it. But some of them, it's like, you should try it. It's pretty decent.
No, I get what you're saying. Liberation of Riper was fun. I actually prefer it over Legends of Andor, to be truthfully honest.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Legends of Andor is fun. I like the puzzle aspect where you have to go basically in that spiral or else because you can't go back.
Yeah.
So you got to be smart at how you do things. I do enjoy that, but this one just, it felt more fun. It felt more thematic. We're defending this tower in the city, and I really had a great time with this one.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it was awesome. Probably close to one of my favorites that we played that evening.
So we've talked about this next game quite a bit on the podcast. The designer is one of our favorite designers. But we played this because, one, we knew our other friend was going to be there within like 10, 15 minutes or so.
Yep.
And Dom had not tried this, but he's been wanting to, so we just busted out Archaeology, the New Expedition.
Yep.
And that went down great. He was like telling us, well, there's another game I got to buy now.
Yeah, darn it. No, it's on my buy list. Yeah. He liked that one a lot.
For me, this is always going to be a thumbs up.
Yep. Absolutely. A thumbs up. It goes every time. Although we played with the starting tile, I always like changing it up a bit, but...
Well, I do too, but I let him pick randomly, and he ended up picking the pyramid. So it was a blind draw, and that's how he got the pyramid.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was the only game that I won that evening? No. Okay, that's one of 2 games I won that evening.
Yeah, you won 2 games.
Not
shockingly
including.
enough, I actually won some games. I won fantasy rounds. We all won Liberation of Rightburg. And my favorite, though, on the list here of the game itself, winning and losing type thing, we'll talk about in a couple turns. But yeah, Archaeology, the New Expeditions, a very simple card game made by Phil Walker Harding. It's a set collection. That's all it is. You're basically rumming it out there. You're just trying to get different sets. Most points at the end of the game wins.
Yeah.
Phenomenal game. Probably one of my favorite filler games, if not my favorite filler game to pull out after playing like those big grandiose games that we normally do.
Yeah, for sure. I couldn't agree more. Cool. Then we went on to No Thanks, which is one I had been pushing you to try for a long time because it's one of the most elegant Amigo games. Literally all you do is you either take the card or you put a chip on it to pass. And there's a lot of nuance to it because
But it's got golf rolls too, right? You got to have the lowest score, not the highest score.
Yeah, exactly. And what makes it interesting is that if you have numbers in a row, it's only your lowest score counts. So if I have a 19, 20, 21, 22, only 19 matters for me. But that's the thing. Even though you're going to look at my cards and go, okay, you need that, I can still hopefully push my luck and put a chip on it and try and send it around again to see if you guys are going to take the bait or if I can bank more chips out of it.
Or we can force feed you if we realize you don't have any chips and make you take like the 38 or
Exactly.
39.
Yep,
So yeah,
exactly.
no, I enjoyed it. To me, my rating for this one is a bit
More medium? Okay.
more medium. It's not like top of the line. It's not my favorite out of everything we played, but I did have a good time with it. I actually prefer this one over the one we played last in the night, and we'll get to it when we do.
Okay.
I would play this one over the one at the bottom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Cool.
So the next one on my list here, on the list here, that we played is probably one of the best buys that I've had recently, and that is Teotihuacan. What is it? The City of Gods?
Yeah.
Yeah, City of Gods. I didn't put the subtitle on there, but I have to say it took a little bit for us to get going because there's just so much going on there. If you've ever had a problem with point salad, wait till you play Teotihuacan because you're like, okay, what does this section do? Oh, but then there's this part over here. What does this section do? But there's this part over here.
Yep, and then this works for this, and you get a bonus for that one. But then you're also upgrading and ascending your die here, and
then you're sending them, once you get them to 6, you're ascending them, and you're getting a new die on the table, or a new worker, basically, because your character gets buried along the road. It's a phenomenal game. I have to say, this is probably one of my favorite games we played last night. It is probably the heaviest game we played on Saturday night.
Oh, without a doubt, that was the heaviest game. When next in line, as far as heavy, is Liberation of Rightburg or Pan Am. Like, there's not even a comparison. That was hands down the heaviest game we played.
That one was really heavy, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And we may talk about it a little later today, but spoiler alert. But I really dug this game. This is a phenomenal thumbs up, man.
Yep.
This is an amazing. Now, what I really liked about this, and I was talking about it a little bit earlier about like the winning capabilities of it.
Mm-hmm.
I got second place in this game by 1 point.
By 1 point.
The person who looked like he had the hardest time with this game, he was just sitting there like, oh my God, what is going on? He ended up winning by a point, and he was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because once Teotihuacan is like any other point salad out there, and I could consider it a point salad. There's many ways to win, many ways of getting points. It's that you have to find the best way for you, but it's one of the harder ones to get. It takes you to start playing it to actually learn the mechanics of it. You have to play it.
Yeah.
It's one way to explain, okay, this is what this does, this is what this does, this is what this does, but you actually have to see the gears moving for you to actually understand it.
Right. And I mean, like, there was even a point where we looked over and we're like, hey, buddy, are you all right? Like, your eyes are closed. And we was like, yeah. He was like, yeah. Yeah. It's like he went into that zone. Just, how do you...
And he ended up winning the game, so...
Yeah.
That tells you how good it actually is. As someone who was like, what the hell is going on? And then once it started playing, it clicked. Yeah. And he's played heavy games before. It's one of those games that you have to play it to get it to click.
Right. Exactly. No, I think we could jump through this game pretty quick now. 90 minutes or so. Pretty easily.
Yeah, and then it's modular, so...
Yep.
Those boards are going to change.
Yeah.
And I found out that... Remember how I told you I want to get a canvas bag for the Teotihuacan stuff, the tiles? Yeah, I'm going to have to buy it because Board Game Geek sells like the entire set. So you have it for the wood tiles. You have it for all the things that you could draw out. So I wouldn't have to have baggies. It's all blind draw for everything.
Let me know when you order that. I still need another baggie for Castles of Burgundy. Which, those, if you don't have those either, for Castles of Burgundy, they're premium. Yeah. I don't have the good tiles yet. I need to.
I just can't get them right now. I may order them in September or October. When the Wingspan Geek Bits show up, because I want to buy those.
Yeah, I would give this a thumbs up for sure.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal game.
Our next game that we played was Junk Orbit by Daniel Solis, and so the idea of this is you had these tiles that made up the board, and you're playing the tiles for their number, which lets you go in a direction, and you drop off the tile in the other direction into the spot where it would land, and if it happens to be in the correct city, you can score it for points. And then when you go to the city, you drop those tiles off and score those for points. This is a smart little puzzle game. Like, this was cool. This is exactly the kind of thing that I really enjoy, is like how you take a fairly abstract concept but the mechanisms are so elegant, like how you're moving your ship, how you're planning everything. Like, nothing's confusing. It all makes sense, and it works really well. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I have to agree. Where do you think I sit on the ranking for this?
About a medium.
Actually, I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I definitely
I
give it a
found it
thumbs up.
phenomenal. It was actually I going into it, I thought I was going to be or thumbs down. I
Yeah.
didn't really like it. I hate the box. Don't get me wrong. The box, I get what they're doing. I
Oh.
hate that stupid little cylindrical thing they sent it in.
Sure.
But I have to say, Junk Orbit was a phenomenal game. It was
Yeah.
fun to play. It was interesting trying to figure out that puzzle. How do I shoot this to move this over here?
Yeah.
I had to make sure I was picking up Earth junk to deliver to other places because my special ability allowed me to subtract one and make one, or a positive one.
Yeah.
So if I shot it, I'll be like, okay, I'm sending it 6 spaces instead of 7. This way I can get to the spot where I can score it, and then I'm moving only 6 spaces because that's how far I shot it. But I had to make sure it was Earth stuff. And I enjoyed it. I really do enjoy it. I like the tongue-in-cheek that each of these characters are supposed to be. I was playing the Futurama characters, and I'm wearing a Futurama shirt today.
Of course.
So that tells you how happy that makes me.
Right. Yeah, no, I like the little subtle things. And the only thing that I had a problem with is just how, when you're stacking up the tiles, it's just so crowded that it becomes a little fiddly. But the game itself is fantastic.
And then for a pick up and deliver style game with a puzzle on it, it doesn't play very long. It's 30, 45 minutes. It's the first time playing it, and we got it done pretty quickly. So I was quite impressed with it.
With the full player count, too, I think.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the next game on the list here is probably another one of my favorites of the night. I was like, it's a dexterity game. And then we played it, and I was like, oh my god, this is so fun. There was so much laughter in this one. And that's Flying Goblins.
Flying Goblin, yeah. It was so good. I mean, the little catapult... I was working on a prototype idea with a catapult in it, like launching meeples into a box of grid, and I'm glad that it made sense to people because I love that idea of like being able to chuck things into a box and each compartment is its own thing. But they added an awesome theme to it.
What makes it fun is that it's happening all real time. So everybody's shooting their goblins. So you just see these massive things, wooden pieces flying around. Yeah. People are getting shot in the face, getting over the head.
Right. I know. I got pummeled with goblins so often from our mutual friend who was on the other side of the table. Just like guaranteed.
Me and our mutual friend that was across from us, Dom, we mentioned it before. We started calling them hostage exchange because we kept having to give each other goblins back.
Yeah, exactly. No, this was great. The only problem that we ended up having with it was the components being in the box. It makes sense thematically, and it's a quick, easy
because if you're in there and there's nothing left in there, you can't get it. But yeah, it was. Look
at
these
just
fingers.
Reaching in.
Look at these fingers. And the big part is like I didn't mind the outer part of the box, but where the tower sits, minimized it, and then you have those little
platforms,
ledges on top of it too. So you're just sitting there like I need like operation tweezers to get these things out.
Right. Exactly. There's a piece of gum on a stick. There we go. I got a token.
And the big thing too is when the goblins go in the tower, you literally have to take the tower out to pick up the goblin.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there could be a 3D printed piece that would fit in there.
Yeah, they should do it where it doesn't sink all the way to the bottom.
Right. I'll see what I can figure out.
Yeah, but it was a phenomenal game. I give this a thumbs up. It's probably one of the most fun we had with the game because it's just shenanigans. It's all it really is.
Yeah, it's great dexterity, good silliness, all the fun of like it would be like everybody playing coconuts at once.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of
just all
absurdity.
These rubber coconuts flying at each other. But this one was actually what makes it hilarious is these are wooden pieces. They're becoming projectiles. They're gonna hurt if they go in the eye. You're gonna have to wear safety goggles when you play this game.
Right, exactly. Oh man, yeah, that Flying Goblin, good stuff. Our next game was a small game from Game Right called Abandon All Artichokes, and even though it was my pick of a game, it was your pick. You're like, let's play this. I gotta show them.
Well, the big reason for that too is this was going to be the last game one of our friends can play, and he hasn't played it, and he likes these little small card games that he can play with his family.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he needs to see this because this is an amazing game.
Right. Exactly. It's right up his alley. And overall, like I feel like they, like it. The first half of the game is just as you would expect. You play some cards, give some away, trashing stuff, and then that second thing that we've spoke to before, where everybody stops and watches the active player, draws the card. Yeah, it's your turn. I love that. That's one of the funnest things in that game, and
And
it's
it
just
plays so quickly. And
yeah,
even the friend that we wanted to show it to, and of course Dom was sitting, Bryce and Dom. Let's just say who they were.
yeah,
Dom was sitting there like, yeah, no, this is good. I might have to pick this one
yeah,
up because my mom likes card games. So it's
yeah,
like,
and it's not hard to pick up.
it's the thing we were saying about Game Right when we did the top 8 debate for Game Right games. People don't give these as much. What's the word I'm looking for here?
They don't look it out. Like they immediately turn it off because of the fact that it's a game right game. They think it's a kids game.
Yeah.
I mean, kids can play it, but that doesn't make it not fun. And it's not just like, oh, well, it's something I can have fun with my kid. No, for adults, we just played it, and we enjoyed the mess out of it.
Yeah,
So
no, I agree.
Dark Elf joined us. Yeah, I think you saw that. He said, "Hey, new screen layout. Yep, we moved to Zoom. It looks a lot better. Oh, I see you just posted it. And
Yeah.
welcome, Dark Elf. Thanks for joining us today.
But yeah, so yeah, I have to say this one is a phenomenal game. Probably one of my favorite of the filler games that we played.
The question is, are you going to end up picking it up?
I may eventually. Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't had time yet. I don't really go to game stores all that much. Most of my
sure.
outside time is grocery stores.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
So the next game on the list, and I like how I got both of my games right here that I wanted to get off my shelf with shave,
Yep,
is we mentioned it earlier, Pan Am.
Pan Am.
Probably the heaviest Prospero Hall game out there.
Oh, hands down. Yeah,
Yeah, but once we got going, it was actually a really phenomenal game. I like the fact that it's 7 rounds,
yeah,
a lot going on. I like the fact that it's interchangeable with the card, where you can where the different events are going to happen.
yep,
And there's 4 for each round, so every round you're going to get a new one. But we've played with 4 of them or 7 of them, so we could possibly play with a whole different 7 next game. I thought it was phenomenal.
yeah. It was cool. I'm looking forward to trying it again another time. I was just very confused as to how a lot of it worked,
Mm-hmm.
but I do still feel that it suffers from a really hard, and I don't think I've ever seen an economic game that doesn't have this. But there is a huge snowball effect.
There is.
Because the thing is, you build these routes, the bigger the route, and the more it pays off, the more money you get, and therefore, because you have more money, you can buy bigger and better
Most.
routes. And
Well, not
so,
just that, the stocks too. The whole point is you're
right,
trying to buy stocks in Pan Am to win the
yep,
game. So when you get towards the end of the game and they're buying up all your routes, you're
yeah,
selling these for a massive amount of money.
yeah,
So that money is allowing you to, in turn, to buy those stocks, and the stocks stay relatively low, 4 or 5.
yeah.
Let's say you have $20, you're going to buy that stock, hands down.
Yeah, exactly. And I almost wonder how much of it is going to be, or like how well you can play into that beginning game of like, because I think I bought the most
Well,
stocks at the
there is
beginning
a
to try
penalty
it.
on it. We didn't fall into that penalty, but there is a penalty on it. So if you go into a worker placement area that costs money,
Yeah,
and you don't have the money for it, you have to sell your stock at a loss.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I just wonder
So
like,
you have to be efficient.
but I wonder like how well or how good you can be at paying for stocks early on and not having that income to be able to build up late for the future. I wonder how likely of a game that
Yeah.
is. So
So for a Prospero Hall
yeah,
game, I give it a thumbs up because the Prospero Hall is phenomenal.
yeah,
However, it's probably on the lower end of my favorite Prospero Hall games,
sure.
just because how heavy it is. I do want to play it again to get a basis of it,
Hmm.
but to me, it's still a win. It's still a really good game, and for its price point, it's $35 normally,
Yeah,
and it's a lot of game for $35.
yeah, it is. No, it was a really good game. I liked it. I want to try it
So
again. I don't know if I'll buy
how
it yet.
about you skip the next one? I'll talk about it and go to the one after because I know that's one of your favorites.
I mean that I wouldn't necessarily say it's one of my favorites, but I did enjoy it a lot. So we played Turn in Taxis for the first time. They only make German versions, so I had to print out some references. Not that it was difficult. I mean,
It
everything on the
wasn't
board
difficult, but
made sense.
there were some issues where we had to talk things through, like, hey, what happens if we do this,
Yeah,
or what's going on here, and there was a bit of an issue, but all in all, not bad.
yeah, yeah. I enjoyed the mess out of it actually. It it's the next level up from Ticket to Ride. It makes perfect sense. Like Ticket to Ride won in 2004, this one in 2008. You're playing the German postal system.
2006, wasn't it?
2006, yeah, not 2008. Sorry, I think that was Dominion. But yeah, you're building these routes, and you have to build a certain amount. First, you start with three, then four, then five, then six. But you can go bigger to get more points, and all of the
Mm-hmm.
point values just shrink down as you're taking them. So they get fewer and fewer points as people are filling in the categories or as people are taking the different routes. It doesn't block you. You don't block by like Ticket to Ride. You can do anywhere you want. It's just the sooner you get to it, the more points it's gonna be worth. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of cool headiness going into it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was
Yeah.
really
No.
cool. This is
It's
one that I might be able to show my family and my wife, who's a big Ticket to Ride fan. She might very well enjoy this.
Yeah, it's a thumbs up for me. It was actually a really good game. It was towards the end of the night, so we were all starting to feel that fatigue because we've
Yeah,
been going since 10 in the morning. But I did enjoy it. It was a fun game. I like that little push your luck aspect of it. It's like you have to draw a card and you have to play a card. You got to
yeah,
make sure it's in that route you're building right now, or else you bust and everything gets wiped.
yeah, yeah. I like that push your luck part of it. I can see why some people wouldn't, but that push your luck part of it alone was awesome.
I do like the joke that we made that if they rebranded this in America, it'd be Amazon distribution
Amazon Prime.
centers.
Yeah, yeah. Amazon distribution centers. I mean, you're not wrong. That probably would be it. And then like different regions, you have Southwest, Midwest.
Yeah.
South Central. Yeah, there's a lot of cool places or cool ways you could do that. Texas would be its own little thing.
Well, there's what 3 or 4 in Texas by themselves. There's going to be
Oh yeah.
one right about 40 minutes away from us in El
Yep.
Paso.
Yep.
So no, it was a phenomenal game. I really enjoyed it. It's probably up there on my Spiel des Jahres list now that I rethink about it.
Yeah.
Not probably not top 5, but just outside of it.
Yeah. Probably within the top 10 for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I did enjoy it. It was enjoyable. Next one on our list, the one that we skipped, was a Bruno Cathala game that you've been wanting to try, and that
Yes.
was Historio. Hysterio?
Histrio.
Histrio. There we go.
Yeah.
Uh, Phenomenal card game. I actually had more fun than I thought I was going to with this game because for the whole time I was sitting there thinking this looks like a storytelling game. I don't know if I'm going to like this. And then it's just, oh, you bid on one of these things. If you end up both having to end up going to the same place, then you just draw a card, another card. There's some powers that allow you to steal cards, like the bear that you had,
Yep.
where if all of us went to the same place, you're like, nope, those are my cards.
Not today. It's not. Yeah. No, I liked it too. I didn't like it as much as many of the others, and that's just
Yeah.
because it had nothing to do with our gameplay. Like I wasn't disappointed in it. I was just there's one part of the mechanism where you're either playing as a comedy or as a tragedy, and the fact is that if I have a 4 in comedy and a 2 in tragedy, I have a 2 in comedy because they cancel each other out.
So they're out, yeah.
And the way that the cards lay out, I don't know how easily you can mitigate that back and forth. Because there was some where I'd be like, wow, I can get like 10 points in comedy,
Mm-hmm.
but then what am I going to do with these?
And you're noticing what other people were
in
trying to
theory.
build too. Like
Right.
at one point, both me and Dom were trying to make comedies, but you're trying to make tragedy.
Yeah.
And so,
So like how good could I do? And then in order for me to weigh it into tragedy, I have to discard those cards to do it.
yeah,
Which is also, well, then now I don't have them in my hand. Why would I
yeah,
care anymore? So I wonder. I liked it. I just don't know. I would have to try it again before I make a determination on it, because I just don't know like how. It seems like that weighs too much into the game, and that
yeah,
if one person's going for the style that the other two aren't, then I don't know how well you can reasonably play.
yeah. For me, it's
Yeah, it's a medium for me as well.
and the thing is, it's not saying that it's a bad game. I had fun playing it. I actually ended up winning the game because of some special powers that I had.
Yeah,
Those secret intrigue cards, though, I do like that because
yeah,
they can still give you a chance to stay in the game, even if you don't get cards or if things aren't working really properly.
yeah.
So I had 2 cards on my hand that allowed me to win. One was I had the King's Favor, so
Okay,
that helped me, gave me 5 extra points, and then I had another one that was where I had to have troops of less than 4 or 5. So I had to have either 2, 3s, or 1s in there. I couldn't have anything higher than that. because of the ability. And if I did that, that's 6 extra points. So
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I really enjoyed the at the end of the game all the special abilities, but throughout the game what I thought was the best mechanism is when two people go to that and you get the secret cards, the cards that you would have gotten instead of being split,
Yeah.
like most places just split them. This goes straight to being discarded and manipulates the theater.
It manipulates the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal. I did like that. I thought that was a really smart idea.
Yeah, exactly. So that was Histria. Our next one that we played twice even is a small co-op card game called The Game.
We should mention also the next 3 games are small card games for the simple fact that this was the end of the night. We were exhausted, we were tired, and we realized from our last one night game night not to play heavy games after a certain hour because we get cranky.
Or like every game is immediately twice as heavy as it is. Because you and me played a 2-player game of Yamatai, which isn't exactly a heavy game, but it was heavy for us that night.
At 11 o'clock at night, yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was heavy. But yeah, I enjoyed it. The game, small, simple card game, the first time we played it, like, I even told Dom, our mutual friend, I'm like, look, this is I'm Sorry the game. Because it's just constantly like, guys, alright, I'm going to have to mess up these piles. Am I going to mess up this one or am I going to mess up this one? What makes more sense right now? And it's like, well, I mean, I'd prefer you to mess that one up, but I'd prefer you not to mess something up at all. It's like, well, sorry, that's off the table. You drop from like 100 and you drop all the way to a 50. You're like, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do because I have to play 2 cards. And then after we got our composure ready, we played it a second time because the first time we lost miserably.
Well, miserably, yeah.
I wouldn't say miserably. We had probably about 10 cards left in the deck.
Maybe an eighth of the deck left. It wasn't that much.
Yeah, it was pretty small. But the second time we played it, we won. I've never won that game until that last game night.
The thing about it is we had to find ways to say who should play their card. It's like, because it was down to just me and Dom having 2 cards, and we were within the same window, and it's like,
yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, and it was just how we had to level. It's like, wait, are you talking a little bit like Danny would say a little bit, or are you talking a little bit like I would say a little bit? It's like, because you're saying a little bit, which one are you saying here? It's like, moderate then. It's like, what does that mean? I loved it. Yeah.
And for me, I've talked about this before. I actually prefer this over the Mine. They're both, in a sense, the same game because you're trying to play in a succession order of some sort, whether it be in numbers 1 through 99 for the Mine. In this one, you're doing either 99 to 1 or 1 to 99 in 4 different piles. I like the mitigation. I like the being able to actually communicate with someone, be like, hey, don't play here. I can help this.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean that's also why I like the Mine. I know they unfairly get compared because they're similar ideas, and they're both co-op card games. But the thing is, with perfect information, the Mind you can win guaranteed every time. You might not be able to win just because of how the cards lay out in the game. But the thing is, the lack of information that you get from not being able to communicate in any way in the Mind is where that intensity comes in. It's like, if only we could talk or communicate in some way, this would be a cakewalk. That's the point. But I get why you would like this over the Mind, because this is a game.
It's the game.
It is the game, and did I ever tell you how the fire works?
No.
Okay. So the fire expansion that came in like the older versions, there's I think like 8 cards in there, and it's like 77, 66, 55, like the 11s. And when they come out, by the time it is your next turn, or by the end of the very next turn, they have to be covered up. No matter what. Otherwise, you lose immediately. So if I play a 55, you have to play something on that.
On top of it? Okay.
Yeah, because if there's still a fire card at the end of the next turn, it's done.
So they just made it harder, is all they did.
That's
exactly. They just made it ridiculously harder.
Yep.
All right, so the next game on our list, and this is, to me, is getting to the point where I'm not as having a good time with these games. Not because they're bad games. It's just I was tired too, and my back was starting to hurt.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy Solar Draft to an extent.
Sure.
That's the next game on our list here. But after playing Fantasy Realms, out of those two, I think I'd pick up Fantasy Realms.
Oh, hands down, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, Solar Draft is it's a
agreed
drafting game based in the solar system. The first person to 8 planets ends the game. You play out the rest of the round.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy it. It wasn't a bad game, and I'll have to give it another shot, when I'm more bright mind and know what's going on. But to me, this tend to be a lot luckier than Fantasy Realms was. There's not a lot of mitigation. Like, if something flips up and I'm like, oh, I want that moon, and the next person in front of me takes it, it's like...
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact is, on your turn, you're either drawing a card or you're playing
a card.
Versus, like, in Fantasy Realms, you draw a card and you play a card. Or you play a card and you discard a card, or
play a card and discard a card.
Yeah, I mean that's way more fluid, and because I might see something in the discard pile, I'll take that and put out this new one. The discard pile changes. It's just a much better system, honestly.
Yeah. So for me, the big problem I had with Solar Draft was I had this moon card that allowed me to play another moon card if it was in my hand.
Yeah.
Well, every time I tried to get moon cards, they would be taken. So I couldn't play another moon card, and it took me toward the end of the game to get a second moon card.
Gotcha.
So it's a bit lucky. It's really all it is, because you could draw blind, but you don't know what's going to come up and everything that's going on. And Dom, with his comments, was just... I'm just sitting there like, just let me know when it's my turn. I'm watching something else or looking at my phone, just because his comments would allow him to just cycle through a lot of cards. And it's like...
Yeah, it'd take like a long turn, and it's kind of like a little engine building where you don't get that in Fantasy Realm.
Yeah.
Fantasy Realm, you definitely don't have any engine building whatsoever, but that kind of allows it. But I also didn't like you have to build out, and I get it makes more sense building out in a line, and having adjacency stuff. I don't know. I agree with you. I didn't like it as much as Fantasy Realm.
I would have to play it again, but right now it's in the average for me.
Agreed. Yeah. All right, and that goes on to our last game of the night, which is Dealt, which is a really cool, or cross poker or something like that, cross checkers or something. It's a simple card game where you're playing cards based on their rank, and you have to play a higher rank than what was played. So if I play a single card, let's say it's a 5, the numbers are 1 through 12, I can play any number from 6 to 12. Or something with a higher rank, which is 2 cards in a row, like a 3 and a 4. 2 of a kind is the next highest rank. So like a pair... Yeah, made it for the last game. Well done, Tabletop Bellhop. Thank you for joining us. It dealt where you play either a pair, and then from there it's a 3 in a row or 3 of a kind. And one of my favorite parts in that game, I know you guys didn't like it nearly as much as I did, but I think it was also because of how tired we all were. I was excited to play this because I knew the potential. Because halfway through the game, I remember I was looking at my hand, and I think Dom or you were thinking of it, and both of you had the biggest grins on your face. You're like, all right, I'm just waiting to drop these 3 of a kind right now, because I have it. And even that, when you dropped the 3 8s, and you looked at me like, your move, sir, and I dropped the 3 10s on top of it, what are you going to do? It had some really great stand-up moments, and I feel like, I think... the more I bring this over, the more I think it's going to climb, because I know you're about a medium on it. I think it'll climb on yours, because it allows for that.
The thing is, I do like the mechanism where you're trying to get cards closer together. All of the Bonanza mechanism, I would like to call it, where the cards have to stay in your hand that certain way. I just think Bonanza does that better than Dealt.
Sure.
I did enjoy Dealt. It was okay. Part of it was I was in a lot of back pain at the time because we've been sitting in these hard chairs. But, yeah, I just... don't know if trick taking and ladder climbing really work together for me.
Yeah, I get that. And so Tabletop Bellhop brought up that it sounds a lot like Great Moody, which I think you remember from Richard Garfield's games. In a way it is, yes. However, nobody's trying to win tricks. You're just trying to outlast everybody. So it's half ladder climbing. But what makes it really intriguing is that your hand of cards cannot change the order, and you can only play cards that are next to each other. But you do have a couple reserve cards as well that you can slide into your deck as your turn, so you're not penalized for that. So effectively, like, let's say if I have an 8, a 3, and an 8, I can play those pair of 8s, but I have to get that 3 out of there first. And that's where I think that little gimmick works really well in it, personally, I think.
Yeah, another issue I have with it, and I get where it's going, is that everybody can everybody can win except for one person. One person's gonna lose. That's about it. And that. I have a problem with that. I'd rather be the one person that wins rather than sharing the win and forcing one person to feel bad about themselves.
Yeah, yeah, I don't disagree. There was one situation too that ended up happen or didn't happen with ours, and that's if I run out of cards, um, if I run out of cards first, uh, and everybody, you know how that normally triggers, other than the bean game that can, yeah, exactly, exactly, yeah. Bonanza and Delta are the only two that I'm aware of now. So, if I go out of cards, and let's say you and me or you, me, and Dom are playing, if you and Dom are also able to dump your hand, and there's only one person, only the one person doesn't lose the chip. The last person remaining in the round. So if you are able to make the Hail Mary play and you dump all of your cards as well as everybody else did that turn, then everybody except for you loses a chip. I think
Okay.
that's cool. I like that whole idea. So with that being said, that was the end of our 15 game marathon that we
Yeah,
played.
that we played on Saturday. Yeah, it was
Yep.
crazy.
We should have filmed it and we should have put it online. That would have been great.
No, because then I couldn't make fun of you like we were doing all night.
Like that stopped you before. All right. So now, let's talk about our topic.
Yeah,
The
it only
games.
took us what 30 minutes to get to our topic.
Yeah, about 40 or so. Yeah. The tabletop
But yeah,
bellhop says shooting the moon is always a cool mechanic. I completely agree. 15 games. Yeah, exactly. It was good. We just needed to play 15 games in one night. That wasn't
yeah.
the
So
goal,
what
but
we've been
we did
doing
it.
recently for those at home, like tabletop bellhop and dark elf, and who are listening to this later, we quarantine 2 weeks beforehand,
Hmm.
and then we're quarantining 2 weeks after. But we get together one day a month. Basically, we quarantine after our game days,
Yeah.
and we try to get together at least once a month, just doing all day gaming. This way, we can get stuff off our shelves, get gaming together, and it's usually
Yep.
the same group. So yeah, it's just the four of us that normally get together.
Right. And up until this point, like most of us have very like not public jobs, I guess is
Mm-hmm.
like the way to describe it. Like I mean that you're still like out in the public, but you don't. It's not like a cashier. Like that's super dangerous compared to like what we do. I work
Yeah.
with three other people, and we're always at a distance with masks and gloves. Like so,
I'm home all day, so
and
my biggest threat is my wife coming home
yeah,
because she works
exactly.
at a hospital.
So we're trying to be as safe as possible about it. So I hope it doesn't seem that we're like we really go out of our way to make it as safe as possible, knowing that we're going to
Yeah,
be in contact all day.
yeah, exactly.
So overall table presence, I had some caveats that I put for myself for this, and because I've seen like a whole bunch of convention games and like all these
Hmm.
other ones, I limited it first off to only games that I own, is where I put my limit,
I didn't do
and
that caveat because my top three are games that, well, two of them I do own now,
yeah.
but one of them is something because of its table presence I want to own.
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah, I don't disagree with it. I'm just saying because I made a short list of probably about 20 games. I'm like, man, that's cool looking on the table. That's cool looking, and then I had to whittle it down using that because I wanted to put mechs and minions, but I honestly don't remember how well it looks on the table because I haven't played it in years.
It's
So
pretty, but it's not on my list.
yeah, so I stuck to just specifically games I own personally, and although I do have some exceptions, I tried to also avoid like there is one really cool component and the rest of the game is okay. Like I wanted overall table presence, like everything works together. It makes people stop, but it's because of the whole game, not because of the hey look, there's one trophy in the in the game. So yeah.
And
All right.
I don't disagree. My caveat: I own only one of these games that are on my list here. I don't own. Everything else I do own and have played.
Cool. And Tabletop Bellhop and Dark Elf, if you're still there, feel free to tell us some of your favorites too.
I know Tabletop Bellhop was saying that he agrees that Mechs vs. Minions has some of the best components in the game.
Yep.
And he also says Tower of Madness has one cool component and he didn't really like the game afterwards.
The rest is crap. Yeah, we'll see. It might show up on the list.
Uh-oh.
We'll see.
All right,
We'll find
so
out.
you want to start or should I start?
All right. So, I'll go ahead and start.
All right.
Okay. So my first one, this is honorable mentions. My third honorable mention is one that it gets people stop. I don't think it looks all that cool, but it they did a really good job of the production, and everybody kind of stops while walking by it because it looks like you're playing with real slices of pizza. It really does,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that's New York Slice, and everything about that, the graphic design, it looks really good. It's a fine game. I do enjoy it. I do own it, and it's really fun to play. It's just it. The only thing is that uh, I mean, the only components are slices of pizza that are realistic. It looks like they photocopied a slice of pizza and printed it. It makes sense. But that's why it's my honorable mention is because that's it's not so. It looks like people. If you didn't know people weren't eating, you probably wouldn't stop.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a phenomenal game. I do like it. I own it. It's up there. But yeah, no, it's good. I like it.
Yeah, sounds good. And the
Yes,
chalkboard bonus tiles,
Tabletop
right?
Bellhop also says there's the chalkboard bonus tiles. Yeah,
Yeah,
those are phenomenal too.
and then the menu and everything. Yeah, it's really cool.
It does
Cool.
have a really good table presence. Like you said, at conventions, people were looking at it like, wait, what? What is that? It looks like pizza, but
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
actually, the first place I ever saw it was at a convention, and now I own it.
Because of that, right? Because you
Yeah.
got really hungry that day, and therefore, no. That
Well,
was
I
my first
actually
honorable
played it
mention.
with our mutual friend that we were talking about earlier, Dom. He owned it, and I'm like, oh man, that means I got to go buy this, and I ended
Right.
up getting it.
Yep. And I was the same way.
So the first game on my list here is, and this one, this is my cheat. This is a caveat. This is the Rising games. It's Darkside Rising,
Oh yeah. Okay.
Thanos Rising, Death Eaters Rising. You pick.
Queensdale.
Yeah.
Rise of Queensdale. Yeah.
No, not that one. I call it the Rising Game series because it's basically the same game with three different themes painted on it.
Yeah.
But that one piece, that one
Yeah.
giant piece on there, is going to draw people, especially when the Thanos Rising came out. The
Yeah.
shop just had it on a table saying, "Hey, look at this," and it's
Yeah.
just big, chunky toy.
Mm-hmm.
Is really what it is. It's a phenomenal dice game and card game. I do enjoy it. It's difficult. I prefer the Star Wars line of it because I'm a Star Wars fan more. But yeah, it is a toy. It's really all it is. It's
Yeah.
a good
It
toy.
could have been done with a cardboard standee just as easily, but
Just as easily, yeah. They just went for that toy factor. My big issue of it is it's very luck based. It is
sure.
very luck based because you're depending on the dice. There's ways to mitigate things, but I've only won this maybe once or twice.
Yeah. I mean, it is luck based, but there's so many good ways to mitigate the luck. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's a solid system, and I do enjoy that. I enjoy Thanos Rising quite a bit. And I don't even I don't like I own it. I believe I think somewhere in here. I'm pretty sure I own it. I might be crazy, but I mean, I've enjoyed it just because of the fact that it's a fun game, and I don't care anything about superheroes. So there you go.
Yeah, I get that. You've played the Dark Side Rising because I do own a copy of it.
Yeah,
I agree. They do change some stuff in the Death Eater Rising game that I
sure.
want to try it
Hmm.
to see what they changed. They made it a little bit easier because it's something you're supposed to play better with family. Thanos Rising, a Dark Side Rising, a Tabletop Bellhop says it here is that the way the cards are coming out, that's where the luck is. And yeah, that's true. Big part of it is how the cards are coming out because of the if somehow the cards are stacked with a lot of the bad guys in the beginning of the game before you have enough cards to help you,
Hmm.
start attacking them, it can hurt you. And it has happened, especially when we let this guy over there shuffle the cards.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Tabletop Bellhop pointed out the fact that I don't know where mine is. Now that's bothering me because I'm like 90% sure I own it, and I don't know where I have it.
I,
I'm
I, I know for sure I do own it. Both of them are behind me. I just
Yeah.
don't know exactly where because I rearranged my shelf. I think they're on the third shelf over here.
Right. I mean, I like that. Did I lend it to somebody? What is going on? This is gonna break my brain here.
Dude, you got like 400 and something games. Of course you're not going to be able to spot it right away. Get to your next topic.
All right, my next honorable mention is it has a good table presence because the pieces are really good and the components are fine. Um, but also the action of playing the game is what also draws a lot of people into seeing it, and that's coconuts. And so coconuts, you have the little like catapult monkey hands, and they're shooting coconuts into giant plastic cups that you're building this tower with.
Yeah.
I like it a lot because of the fact that you're launching these coconuts across the table, and that action and those shenanigans. Because when you actually get it into the cup, everybody's like, yes, you get really excited. That's part of also what makes it such a good table presence. Overall, like, I mean, people will walk by it and see if it's set up and go, okay, that looks interesting. But I don't know how much it'll draw it in as much as seeing people play it.
So Tabletop Bethot says, but are they real coconuts? No, thank God.
Yeah.
I've seen the
They're
the
not
local
real,
game
but they're
store.
little rubbery
Yeah,
components. They have a good grip to them, and they have a decent weight. But they're not you're not going to get hurt if you get pummeled with them like the goblins and flying goblin.
yeah, flying goblins. So he says he's seen his shop sell it, but he's never actually seen it out or played it. The
Yeah.
first time we actually got introduced to it, we saw it at
Hmm.
a convention,
Yep.
and we played it there, and phenomenal, and other people were watching us play it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of people enjoyed it, but I didn't count it or that's my second honorable mention because of the fact that it's less of the table
And,
presence,
yeah.
because it's more of the action.
So my next honorable mention here is an abstract in a way kind of game, but it
Mm.
has a phenomenal table presence. I remember seeing it and go, "Ooh, what is that?" And then you showed me how it plays, and I was like, "Okay, this is a really cool game." I don't own it yet, so this is the other one I don't own.
Okay.
I forgot to mention. I thought I did, but I remember I haven't bought it yet because everybody else has it. I don't need it in my collection,
Sure.
and that's Catching the Moon.
Oh yeah. Oh
The
man.
the
Yeah.
ladder the ladder game. Yeah, it is. I enjoy the game. It's a really fun abstract strategy game in a sense. It's really what it is. But yeah, it's so good. You're basically stacking ladders. You got to make sure they don't touch. Oh, Catch the Moon. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
You can't let them touch the bottom, but you have to stack
Yeah.
them a certain way. They can only touch one part of the ladder. They have to touch two parts of the ladder. I like how that works. You got to put two up. Great game. I enjoy it. It has a phenomenal table presence.
Yeah. Exactly. No, now I'm thinking I don't even know if I own that one too. All my life is questioned right now. My brain is broken. I just don't understand anymore. Uh, I want to say I own that one too, but I don't
Again,
remember.
you have 400 games and you've rearranged your shelves. You're not going to be able to
Yeah,
find it right away.
exactly. I mean, stuff gets lost in the mix because of that. Or maybe I think I pretty much lent that one out. And my last honorable mention is quite simple. It is a game called Iguazu. Iguazu is a super cool game. Yeah, it's by Haba. Um,
Okay.
and it's this cool game where you are basically playing as avatar characters. Like these blue river folk. And you are hiding your gems behind. Uh, you keep your gems hidden behind a waterfall. And what makes it really cool is that the waterfall has all these gems in different ways, and the number of cards you play determine what row you can get those gems from. So if you want to get one later in the row, you have to play more cards, but eventually that will become sooner, and you get to play fewer cards with it. So it's this cool little balance of like set collection. But what makes the pieces so great is at the top of the waterfall, where you're currently at, there is like a chameleon, and graphically it makes it look like the chameleon is blocking that part of the waterfall, and the little waterfall tiles, yeah, the waterfall tiles get moved on, and you move that chameleon, and so graphically it looks like this chameleon is moving along, blocking the flow of water going to the other side. It looks super cool, and it works all the time. uh yeah, it looks absolutely awesome. And now that's
Yeah,
not
sounds.
this. I do want to clarify. Iguazu by Haba is more of a fantasy one. There is also, if you search Iguazu, that's the original name for Niagara, the Spiel winner, with the glass tiles being pushed off the waterfall. That also has a good presence, but Iguazu, the Haba game, is the one I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. I wasn't too sure what was going on here.
Yeah, I
I've never heard of
tabletop.
this game, so
Yeah, it look into You have to search through Haba games. Like if you search Iguaz, because the U at the end has a little accent on it, so it's harder to find on. You can't just search Iguazu and find it on Board Game Geek. You have to search Iguaz, and then that should come up with it.
Okay. So, my final game on my honorable mentions list here is one that I've played in the shop, and we've had a lot of people stop and see, what are they doing? What game is that? And this is the one we were talking about that has a lot of dudes on the map, or big, chunky mini pieces. And this one's my token Simon game, Rising Sun.
Rising Sun. Yep, I knew this was going to show up on your list somewhere.
And so I do enjoy it a lot. It's a fun game. It's hard to get to the table because of the 3 to 6 players or something like that. The minimum number is 3, and so it has a hard time getting to the table because sometimes I can't get 3 people to play it. But it is a phenomenal game. People come around, especially since I have the Kickstarter exclusive stuff. So people go around, is that Godzilla? What is that?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's phenomenal. It's got a great table presence. I have the what is it? And this is why it's in my honorable mention, because you have to make the table presence better. I have the playmat. There we go. I couldn't think of the term, but we have the playmat on there, and so you have the playmat. You got the minis. Everybody's just into it, and the colors are beautiful. It's got that Japanese art style on it. Phenomenal game.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, it does look good. The minis aren't as impressive as any other minis, like from CMON or like all the other big stuff. I don't disagree with it, but it's like that's hard for me to justify a table presence with like a minis game, because there's so many minis games, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I agree. There is so many minis games. This is my pick because I prefer this game. I like not Rising Sun, Blood Rage.
Yeah.
This is the one I think I enjoy more.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Then let's get into our list then. So we each picked the top 3. Now I'm still wondering, where is my Thanos Rising?
Just get back to your
topic. Sorry.
I swear to God, someone said Shining. You had to go look.
Oh, wait. Okay. All right. I had to look into the reflected mirror, or the mirror signal. It's right there. Oh, anyway. I digress. Let's go into our list.
Yeah, game with minis. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Now, this 3, you'll notice none of mine have minis on this, because I own very few games that have minis. But these top 3, I feel like they have one main part about it that is obviously really aesthetic, but then everything else, like the boards, the cards, the pieces, everything else fall in line as far as like standing up to that. And so here's what's gonna happen. My number 3, I'm immediately changing it down. It was my number 2, and that's because it's already been mentioned, and that is Tower of Madness. I think the art on Tower of Madness is fantastic. I like the marbles. And, of course, like, the main component is that giant tower with tentacles shooting out of it. It's awesome. Everybody loves to see that. But the boards themselves aren't exactly terrible. They hold the marbles really well in this light. The dice are custom dice, so those look pretty good. And people like it every time I've demoed it. They enjoy playing it, and they like to play it. And it's because that tower is, of course, the central focus. I just saw the comment. And yes, apparently it is easy for me to be distracted. But the tower from Tower of Madness is, of course, the central component, but everything else does kind of follow in line with, like, that kind of dark H.P. Lovecraft-esque feel. So Tower of Madness is my number 3 most game with the best table presence.
I can see why. My number 3 on my list, it's not to that point that you were saying where it's a massive table presence where everything fits. There are a lot of it that does fit to this game, and that's Everdell. Yep. And to me, a lot of it has that table presence because it has that giant tree, and that's a big part of the game. But the components work. You have your twigs, you got your resin, you got your berries and stones, and they're all phenomenal components. The way the board sets out does look like a little bit of a valley, but I do enjoy the game. It's a fun game. It has a table presence, and in fact, it was that tree that made me go, "Ooh, what is this?" And I ended up picking up the copy after we played it. I backed the Kickstarter, and I enjoy it. My wife enjoys it. She finds it fun. You had a decent time with it.
Oh yeah, no, I enjoyed the mess out of it. There was just it's a lot, but it's a fun game. No,
Yeah.
Tabletop Bellhop asks a very solid question, and that's, is it more than the tree? And honestly, you and I played with the tree off of the board a little bit, and the thing is, like the reason I didn't like the tree in it is because it was unnecessary. Now, it does have really it does really have a phenomenal table presence, you're right. But the rest of the board is just cards and pretty art and good components, which falls in line with my Tower of Madness. You know, it's the same. There's one centralized thing, but the only reason why I prefer Tower of Madness over, like, say, Everdell is because Tower of Madness, that's a legitimate big component where
the tree is just there to look
aesthetic. But that's the point of this list. So I knew it was going to be on your list, so I didn't add it on mine.
So I do have it. I do enjoy it. As you saw, I have 2 trees up there. I have a cardboard in the wood tree itself. I leave them set up because they're just a pain in the butt to build all the time. Plus, they kind of look nice.
Yeah. No, in all honesty, that tree, when I saw the tree, that put me off personally, because I was like, okay, I see where they're selling the game. But then I was genuinely impressed by the game itself. It was a good game. I will say that.
If you had issues with Thanos Rising, how the cards are lucky and draw up, you're going to have that same issue with Everdell, just because it's a massive stack of cards.
Not nearly as much.
I do want to try it with the expansions. Yeah, I do want to try it with the expansions. I have everything for it. And what they do is they add on to the board that's already there, that round board. So one goes to the side, one goes to the top, another one goes to the bottom. It's pretty cool how that works.
Cool. Awesome. So that was your number 2 or number 3, right?
My number 3.
All right. So my number 2, I had between 2 games that I really kind of fought between, and I ended up picking one of them over the other, and you'll see why. My number 2 is Bosk. Bosk by Floodgate Games. I struggled between either this or Photosynthesis because the main components are, of course, the trees. Talking about trees. And so each player has their own color of trees that you're placing out on this grid board that is very colorful, as you would imagine. Anything that Floodgate Games makes is super prominent. And then what set it apart is that you have 2 other components on top of that. You have squirrel meeples that you're going to be placing on the board, and they're going to be moving around, as well as you have these beautiful wooden leaf tokens that you're placing on the board, and each of them are a different shape. That's what sets it apart from Photosynthesis. Photosynthesis first had the trees and a beautiful layout, and then the sun moving around, like that was all good and fine. But when Bosk added in the wooden tokens and the squirrel meeples, that set it apart. It's a gorgeous game to look at. I don't know that I can say that I like Bosk better than Photosynthesis. I just know that it's a better overall game, or a better components. Surprisingly complex games. That's a cool topic, Tabletop Bellhop. We'll take a quick break to look at the comments. Yeah, no, that looks awesome. Yeah, that's a really cool topic. Yeah, Photosynthesis is one of them. Yeah, for sure. I would suggest Shobu is my suggestion for surprisingly complex games. Yeah. Oh, no, it's surprisingly complex. Yeah.
Another tree with
trees and gazebos,
and bridges.
Cool. Yeah, nice. I'll check into that. I haven't seen it yet. All right,
so
and
the next game on my list
is
2. Probably one of the uglier games on my list, but it does have a table presence to the point
I
ended up having to buy it. And that's one we just recently talked about that we played. It was the heaviest game we played on Saturday.
Teotihuacan?
Teotihuacan, the City of Gods. I really enjoyed the game, and I remember the first time I saw it was at a convention. It was the one here locally, Border CityCon, I think is what it was called at the time.
Yeah.
And I walked by the table, and I'm like, what is that pyramid? What are they playing? It's like grays and really washed out, and it's not as colorful as some of these other games, but that period alone grasped me, and I had to stop and watch what they were doing. And then I just saw the dice moving across the board. The die is the dice are very colorful, and I'm like, okay, I have to check that out. Then I started researching it, and I ended up buying it to the point we played it on Saturday, and I have to say, I am very impressed with this game. I really enjoyed it. The table presence itself, like the pyramid, just that pyramid alone makes it where you're like, oh, what are they doing over there?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's up there. It has the same level of presence as Zolkin. You know, it really does.
Yeah.
Like, you look at this cool centralized thing in the middle of the board, you're like, and that's a mechanism. You know, that's a component that matters. Like, wow, that's interesting. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't disagree that doesn't have a good table presence. Yeah, cool. All right.
But Zolkin is one on my list too, and another one of those T names that I can pronounce is also on my short list now too, because that one deals with the Incan Empire, so that intrigues me.
Oh yeah, very cool. Oh yeah, the next one has a giant obelisk in the center of the board. So picturesque. All right, my number one. I'm going to give you a couple chance. I'm going to give you some clues, and I want you to try and guess it.
Okay.
Clue number one. It is a dexterity game.
Is it a Hava game?
No, it is not a Hava game.
Just wanted to make sure. Okay.
That's fair.
Next clue.
It's not Rhino Hero, and I know that's what you were thinking. That was in my mind as picturesque, but that's not picturesque until it's, halfway up.
Oh, oh no, that's not a dexterity game.
A good guess. Good guess. Tabletop bellhop. He guessed Hamster Roll. That is not the game that's on there. Second guess. Let's see here. It is fairly cartoonish artwork.
Well, then that just puts me back into Haba games.
It is not a Haba game, though. It's not Pitch Card. That's a good one, too.
Is it that dungeon game that you keep talking about?
Nope. Ice Cool is also a good guess, too, but it is not Ice Cool.
I don't know. What's the third clue?
The majority of the components are big wooden components.
Well, that puts me back into Haba. All you're doing is describing Haba games like Animal Upon Animal.
No, those are mostly, there's that, but no. Nope, not that one. Mostly wooden components, different shapes. Alright, you are determined on, it is a stacking game. That's your next clue. Nope, it's not Zimbos. Yeah, I know which one you're, Zimbobos or whatever. It's not that one.
Stacking game?
It is a stacking game. It is not abstract. There is another clue. There is a theme.
Is that the one that you made me and my wife look at while we were at the shop that one time? I don't know the name of it.
Maybe?
It's the one that has like the Tetris type pieces,
Nope.
And you got to draw a card and stack them on top of each other the way the card says you to.
Nope. There's no Tetrominoes.
How about that one, Beast of Balance?
Not Beast of Balance. I considered buying that not too long ago. I saw it 50%
Big
off.
chunky wooden pieces. Is this Men at Work?
Got it. Men at Work. Yes, the construction game. Oh my god, you have a giant crane in the middle. You have beautiful giant girders. Meeples with helmets on. And they're big meeples, and they're holding bricks and stacks of wood. You have a big, a level meter, or a ruler that you're able to pull the pieces out. Everything in that game is so good. And on top of that, it's a really good dexterity game. It's one of my favorite dexterity games. It's so much that it unseats a lot of the others. Yeah, it's such a solid game. Tabletop Bellhop, if you haven't tried it, go try Men at Work. It's so good. At some point when I travel up to Canada, when they lift the travel bans from America, I'll go up there, I'll visit you, we'll play it. So that's my number one.
I do enjoy it. It is a fun game. I do have a good time with it.
Yeah.
I can see that. It does have a really good table presence. The only thing is, a lot of these I've seen at conventions, and that's why they're on my list, because it's the one that draws people to the thing. And whereas that one, I've only played it at my house. So. Yeah,
exactly. No, I'll have to show you. We'll have to play it at the next convention that at some point in the future we'll play at, because the truth is, it's such a fun game, and it's so silly that people will come up and go, what's going on? I had a hard time choosing between this and Tokyo Highway, and the only reason why I didn't oh, I chose this over Tokyo Highway is because of stuff like the meeples and like the little girders and stuff. Tokyo
Yeah.
Highway looks amazing, like a giant gray spaghetti bowl. It's all stark and depressing looking, and it looks so great, but this just beats it out barely.
Nice. I do agree. It's got a beautiful table presence. It's something I have played and really enjoyed. It's probably one of my favorite dexterity games that we played.
Yep.
So, my number one, however, is a game I don't own, and most people would think I would throw Gloomhaven on this list.
No,
However,
it's not that picturesque.
Well, I think the thing with Gloomhaven is the box has the table presence. The game
Yes.
itself is actually quite compact. You got tiny minis, you got a nice little map that you built yourself,
Yep.
but you have this big, gigantic, grandiose box sitting over there, and you're like,
Yep.
wait, this doesn't compute here. Why is it this little thing, this big old box? But it's just because there's so much stuff in there. But as much as I like Gloomhaven, this is a game I haven't played and I don't own, but I want to.
Okay. So
You want some clues?
let's do this. Let's do some clues. Is this
All
Mechs
right.
vs Minions?
No, it's not Mechs vs.
Okay.
Minions, but it's roughly in the same size box.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna guess TI4.
Yes, actually, It is TI4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Tabletop Bellhop when he's talking about Gloomhaven. You have to add the 3D scenery
Yes.
to do it to make it a little bit more presence to it. But
Yeah.
with TI4, this is a 4X game that I don't own. I haven't played. But every time I see this played at a convention or see a group of people playing it and they're having
Sorry, I just
having a
barely
good
beat you
time
out.
playing it, I walk by and I just sit there for about 20, 30 minutes while they're playing the game, just seeing what they're doing and watching all this stuff going on and the map tiles being opened up. And I'm just like, I want to play this game so much.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't played that one or have seen that one. So in Tabletop Bellhop says Eclipse Second Dawn for the Galaxy has the better table presence. The only one I have seen is TI4. Mind you, the only big convention I've ever been to is Dice Tower West, so there was just a bunch of people playing that one.
Right.
And every time I see it, I just look at it and go, I want to play this game so bad.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. In fact, I want you to keep talking because I'm going to show a picture of.
Oh God, here we go, show and tell again.
Yeah,
I thought we were gonna get away with it.
It's for TI4 though, because one of my friends on Facebook just said like there's a person who made a custom version of their own version of TI4. Yeah, it's right here. Oh my goodness.
That you can barely tell, but yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, yeah, all custom planets, all sorts of great stuff. Yeah.
So this
cool.
is the point where I've never played this game, but I want to. I want to own it. It may be the only game I ever played once a year, but I asked my wife for this for my birthday, which is coming up. I doubt I'll get it, but if I get some like Amazon gift cards or something like that, I'm gonna end up buying it. That's
was it
TI3, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I stand corrected.
So,
Still
but
cool.
yeah, they're pretty much the same game. They streamlined TI4. It is a phenomenal game from everything I've read and seen, and it's something up my wheelhouse. I love 4X games. I love that space theme. So to me, this is something I need to get.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. I think that was a great list on both of our ends, personally. Yeah. I can't argue with any of the ones you picked. I mean, it's just, and I know it sounded like I was arguing against Everdell. I wasn't. It's gorgeous art. Beautiful pieces.
The
I
art's
just
great.
don't own it.
I like Andrew Bosley.
Yeah.
I also have to say the tree's nice on that too.
And
Once
so-
Tabletop Bellhop said he would consider is Cash and Guns, Niagara, The Climbers, Eclipse, Second Dawn. Cash and Guns, I agree. That does have a phenomenal table presence. But I think what draws more people to Cash and Guns is just the loudness that game can get. Everybody's got to look and see what's going on over there, and then they see foam guns being pointed at each other.
Right. But I mean, the silliness of like all the money pieces and the cards and stuff everywhere. Yeah, I agree. But it does have a decent table presence. More like a decent playing presence, I guess, is kind of
And
where I
again,
would
he
go with
also
that.
says X-Wing. I agree, Tabletop Bellhop, but I think Armada has the better table presence because you have the big ships.
Yeah, that's true. Unless you have like a custom mat or something that's space.
Yeah.
Or that looks like space. Yeah, a couple others that were on my short list. I thought of Echidna Shuffle. I think that has a really
Yeah,
great
I thought
table
that was going
presence.
to be on your list for sure.
Yeah. I also considered Dice Forge just because of the way the board lays out.
Yeah.
uh,
Nah, their ships aren't all painted. I get it.
Yeah. I
But
thought.
honestly, if it's the Empire ships, they're all gray anyways.
Yeah. Via Paletti, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's another one of those. It builds up a beautiful table presence, and then and Loop and Louie, yeah. I I have a
I have to
whole.
say,
I also thought Hop as well for a
yeah,
really
I
good one.
thought Five Tribes was on my short list just because of all the stuff that goes up, especially if you
Yeah.
have the expansion when you have the mountains in the middle. Another one that was on my short list was Horrified, just because of the colors.
What
That
I had one on a short list for the most ironically good table presence, and that's Nyctophobia, because all but one player can't see the board, but it's actually a pretty striking board.
yeah, I agree. Heroescape does have a table presence, a really good one at that.
Hmm. Yeah,
Trying to
Heroescape
think.
does have a good one. I also thought Grim Forest, that was in my running, as well as Gizmos or Potion Explosion. Um,
Dinosaur Island has a bit of a table presence, but it's more because it takes up so much of the goddamn table.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Super Mario Level Up actually has a pretty good table presence, because you have the stairway building up.
Villainous, I think, for a small game like it is, has a pretty decent table presence too. That was on my short list. Gizmos, yeah, that's another one that has
Yep.
a nice table presence.
What are your thoughts on Azul having a table presence? Do you think it does? I mean, the
In a
pieces are
sense, but
great,
it's
but
not gonna. It's not one of those games that are gonna draw people over.
yeah, that's
And
true.
that's how I made this list here: is what games would draw people over.
True.
That's why a lot of the games on my short list didn't make it.
Yeah.
Mysterium is another one that has that. When you got that Dungeon Master board to hide your cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Dark Tower does, especially the new one that's coming out.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, there's so many good picks. I mean, like there's ones that are picturesque and easy to bring people over. Stained Glass of Sintra. Yeah, I also had Sagrada in my short list that I thought about. But the only problem with Sagrada, even though the transparent dice are so good, you're just playing on your little card on your little board,
Yeah.
so it's so small. It's hard to
Again,
justify.
Blood Rage was another one that's on my list just because minis are going to draw people no matter what.
Yeah.
Another one that I could have put on my list here is that Godzilla game that I have from Prospero Hall.
Yep. Yeah, you totally could have. Yeah, there's a whole slew of like abstract strategies and great stuff. Some people might say King of Tokyo has a good presence and because of the
Yeah, I can
figures,
see
but
that.
yeah, um,
This is one of the more subjective,
yeah,
or no, yeah, subjective ones that we have. Any CMON minigame. Yeah, no, I agree.
right.
Yeah.
Which is
You
why
can
we
put
didn't
any
do a top
CMON
eight
on here.
debate
I
for
just
it.
picked Rising Sun because that's my favorite.
Yeah, cool. So with that being said, Tabletop Bellhop, thank you for joining in as well. Arcadia Quest Zombicide, yep, I agree. We are going to be I'll say what next week's topic is going to be, even though it's not going to happen, unfortunately, because I think this is, and it's which games have the tastiest looking components. That sounds ridiculous,
So random. You come up with the most random topics.
but it hasn't been done before. No, but we're going to be doing our top 8 debate for medieval themed games, and that'll be really fun. That'll be coming up on Friday. Hopefully you can enjoy that. Catan Chocolate Edition. I have one still. The chocolate's probably long expired.
Just for everybody to know, whether it's on an audio podcast on our YouTube channel,
Mm-hmm.
the videos are still going to be going up, but we are going to take a bit of a hiatus when it comes to recording
Yep.
because of you starting a new job, and so we'll see what happens there, and we'll
Yep.
figure out where it goes. If all else fails, we may put Board Game Breakdown on a hiatus unless we get interviews with designers. Other than that, for now, it's just going to go on a quick hiatus. We don't know how long or what the new recording hours are going to be.
Yes, Tabletop Bellhop. You see eye to eye with me on this. Yes. Oh no, I can't wait to do this. Like, I think that'd be such a fun list. One of the ones that came to mind was Planet Defenders square resource tiles. They look like jellies. They're so good.
Oh my god!
Anyway.
Well, I have to say, Wingspan. Those eggs look like the freaking Whoppers.
The
that you get
Cadbury
at Easter.
eggs? Yeah. Oh, they really do, right? Okay, we gotta stop. I'm getting hungry. I haven't had lunch yet. But so we'll be doing that top 8 debate. Like we said, we're gonna take a bit of a hiatus after this week. Just because we gotta figure that out. So we'll make announcements later on once we know what the
For
schedule's
sure,
gonna
what's
be.
going on? Yeah.
Yep. And then it might even be fewer episodes. It might be more. We don't know. But
Yeah.
that will be what we find out. So thank you for tuning in. If you want to watch us live, join us in at twitch.tv/everydayboardgames like Tabletop Bellhop and our friends over at the Tabletop Bellhop podcast. they joined us to do.
As well as you can find the re-uploads of these videos on YouTube at Everyday Board Games 2020, as well as the audio versions on Everyday Board Games Podcast on Podbean.
And if you want to contact us directly, you can email us at everydayboardgames2020@gmail.com.
As well as being able to find us on Twitter at EBG Podcast 2020, where we'll have a link to everything we've just discussed.
And as always, I've been Daniel.
And I've been Daniel.
And we want to thank you for tuning in to Everyday Board Games.
Have a good one.